Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here. I have an awesome lady with me today. Her name is Abijah Grant. Did I say it right? Did I remember it right, Miss
It's okay. It's pronounced Abia, and
Abijah?
then yeah,
Abijah. We're gonna
yeah,
get this right.
yes.
So, Miss Abijah is a passionate advocate for mental health awareness in the Black community. Having personally experienced the impact of mental health crisis, she is committed to being a voice for those in need of support and resources. Her deep understanding of these issues has inspired her to create safe spaces for open conversation. As the creator and host of the podcast Reflection by Abia, she speaks candidly about her own process of self healing. Her show explores key themes of self awareness and personal growth, helping listeners connect to their own paths of self improvement. A passionate advocate for therapy, Abia works to break the stigma around seeking mental health support. Her story of resilience, coupled with her commitment to mental health advocacy, makes her a powerful voice for healing and growth. Once again, I want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Hi, everyone. How you
Hi.
doing?
So, talk to us. Why is, why is mental health so important personally to you?
Well, I grew up in a home where my mom suffered from mental health issues. She actually tried to commit suicide 2 times while I was in my youth. Um, Nobody really understood what was going on. At that time, mental health was not discussed as much as it is right now. So it was kind of like it was behind the radar. So let me just put you in the institution. Let me give you some medication, possibly some therapy here and there. But I wanted to be able to be a voice and let people know that, mental health is a part of the community and we need to discuss it. I also suffer from my own mental health, anxiety, stress, depression. Um, and I knew that it was difficult for me to talk about. So I wanted to get over that hurdle and just be vocal about, hey, this is what's going on. Yeah, so that's pretty much where it started from. It really honestly started from my childhood, right there. Yeah.
So, if it was two things you could tell everybody um, to consider with getting help with the mental health, what would those two things be? What are two major important factors? And we know these are not the only factors, but what would two major important factors be that people need to really consider with dealing with mental health issues?
That you, I can't, because I don't want to speak for my mom, but I've seen a lot that went on with her, that you are not alone. Um, because I think she's felt alone in it. Um, the second thing will be to talk about it.
Hmm. Hmm. So, so when we talk about mental health,
Mhm.
and what are three signs people need to try to look out for?
Um, where you're having the inability to express your feelings, where you are bottling things up, and it's coming out when things are very minor. Um, I would say the second thing would be is if, say for instance, you have children, that what you're going through is affecting your children.
Mhm.
Um, third thing I will say is if you're causing honestly physical harm to yourself, um, that is a sign, or you're thinking about causing physical harm to yourself. That is a sign that something is going on. Something is definitely ticking in your head.
Right. You're in today's time, and I think in any time, you did mention, sometimes people do feel alone. So, what
Mm-hmm.
are a few things that you can suggest for
Mm-hmm.
people to do to probably, at least if a person is feeling overwhelmed, if a
Mm-hmm.
person is feeling alone, we know, we've you've informed everybody we do need to, seek help, and
Mm-hmm.
given us a few things that, just a few things that we do need to consider. But let's just say in those moments, what are some things that
Mm-hmm.
you can suggest that may be helpful for people in those direct moments?
Um, I say in those direct moments, take a moment to breathe. Maybe go into a corner. That's something that I do. When I'm feeling overwhelmed, when I'm feeling stressed, I have a corner that's designated for that. And I'll just sit down and I'll just sometimes put my head between my legs and just breathe. Like, I think people don't understand how just breathing helps. Um, One of the other things you can probably do is journal when you're feeling that way, like to be able to release it. The point is that you need to release, but you need to release it in the right way. um, so if you're a journaler, journal. One of the other things I like to do is go by the water, where I'll just sit by the lake that's near my house, and I'll just relax. And I'll just, whether it's me talking to myself out loud, talking to myself in my head. Again, it's me releasing. Um, Now, if you have some type of like peer support group, I feel that that is beneficial as well too. I know Facebook has a lot of groups out there where other people who are going through the same thing that you're going through or experiencing something similar, you can kind of connect with other people. Um, that's a great resource as well. But that's more so, I want to say you seeking out. And that takes time. It's not, you can't do that in that moment when you're feeling that way.
So what does healing look like for you? What is healing for you?
Healing is accepting the fact that I am imperfect. Healing is the accepting the fact that I may make incorrect decisions or do something that goes against what is expected, what I expect of myself, but I'm understanding that it's okay and I'm processing it. It's like I'm learning what I did was wrong. I'm processing it and then knowing that I'm not going to do it again, or even if I do it again, that do not beat myself up for it. Because the thing is that healing is it's a process. Like it's not an overnight thing. I think people think that they can just wake up the next day and they're healed. Like you're gonna mess up. You're going to make continuous mistakes over and over. You may be on a cycle, as well too. Um, but it's acknowledging the wrong and finding tools in order to help you make better decisions. But understand that you may not fully be healed. Like, because I'm not fully healed. I know I'm not. Because I have my days. So where it's like, what the heck are you doing? Like, you know better. Well, what are you doing right now because you're making poor decisions? I know one of the big things for me is putting the weight of everything on me. Or feeling like I need to check everything off my list. And then I get into that whole mindset of I have too much things on my plate. I know that this has been a pattern before, and you would think that I would know better, but I still do it again. So I'm still in that healing process of trying to learn more about myself so that I don't continue the same cycle over and over, but it takes time, like I said.
I want to thank you for that. One thing I think that is an issue in a lot of adults is untreated mental behavior.
Mhm.
There are, and I know we've spoken before, so of course I'm not a person that thinks that everybody out here is perfect. I think that we
Mhm.
all got something.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't think it's not one human walking the
Mhm.
face of this earth that doesn't have some type of something going on.
Mhm.
But one thing I also do believe that there are a lot of adults um, who have untreated mental disorders or mental illness. Well, I'm gonna say illness because I look at disorder a little differently.
Mhm.
I think sometimes what some people have done that may have raised people is they attempted to materialistically overcompensate,
Mhm.
for certain things. Like it's like if a child throw a temper tantrum, you keep giving them a sucker, thinking that the sucker just takes care of everything, just to
Mhm.
find out years later that that's truly not what the issue may have been.
Mhm.
I think that in so many adults, so when I say adults, I'm speaking in regards to people 35 and older,
Mhm.
that truly have not um, they have untreated certain behaviors. So if
Mhm.
there is something that you could say to adults now that may have minor children or teenagers, and
Mhm.
they may see certain patterns, like somebody just may have an outburst out of
Mhm.
nowhere, or
Mhm.
somebody just may, feel the need to just be rude or be mean, or sometimes
Mhm.
people may feel the need to always be the center of attention, and I'm
Mhm.
talking about as adults. So if you could say something to an adult now who may be
Mhm.
taking care of minor children, whether it's their kids, their grandkids, nieces, nephews, whatever, what would your advice be with them as far as paying attention to the signs?
Well, signs for themselves or signs for the kid?
Time for the kids.
I would say, if possible, sit that child down,
Mm-hmm.
talk to the child,
Mm-hmm.
try to, but talk to the child, but be open to hear whatever they have to say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't talk over them. Um, allow them to verbalize. And it may be a conversation, it may be something where you may not get an answer at that moment. So you're having to continue to sit down with that child, maybe throughout that week, throughout that month, or whatever the case may be. This is a thing you gotta, again, it's not going to stop just by one occurrence. You have to continue the process because this is a part of who that child is. This is already a quality of them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a child doesn't even necessarily know this is a quality of them, but you see it as the adult. So you have to sit down with that child and have those conversations. You may have to introduce other people into the fold who are able to give you advice or guidance on how to deal with the outbursts or whatever the child may be exhibiting. um I'm also a believer that this is the part where it gets a little funny. I believe in medication, but I don't believe in over medicating.
Mhm.
So your resource or whatever the results are to help alleviate the stress of the child, because nine times out of 10 it's stress related or something like that. Maybe mental disorders or so forth. It's being an advocate for your child and knowing that whatever you are giving them, you're doing the best for them, not over medicating them just because you don't want to deal with them. The fact of the matter is that you chose to have a child. So you take the good and you take the bad. You understand what I'm saying? If this is the choice that you made, you have to be able to understand you need to provide for them whatever scenario, whether positive or negative that they're going through. So you're advocating for your child, you are sitting your child down, you are being present. I think a lot of parents are not, how can I say? Because I'm not trying to be disrespectful at the same time, but what I do see in some households is a parent's not present. And the thing is that present doesn't mean like you're just in the house. You could be in the house and still not be present. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that means that means having those moments with your kid, sitting down for a half an hour, 20 minutes, or whatever the case may be, and have that conversation, turning off the TV, putting the tablet away, and just interacting. Because your child could be in one room doing one thing, and then you could be in another room doing another thing. You both are in the house, but you're not interacting. Um, so being present and having those conversations, and I would say nicking it in the butt early on. Don't wait for it to build, because now what's happening is that child is going to continue to go through the stress from point A all the way up into point Z. So if you see that this is something that you're seeing early on, nick it in the butt. You
Mhm.
understand what I'm saying? Don't wait until it all builds up, and then you're trying to solve the situation at the end, which it does happen. But if you could catch it early on, you know what I'm saying? It's like the same thing like a child is um, behaving in the street or something like that. You bring them home, you sit them down, you have a conversation. In my household, you got to whoop it. That's just how it was in my household. You couldn't go out in the street and misbehave. It's just not going to happen. You already knew what was going to happen when you got home. But society is different now. They don't believe in hitting. I put that to whatever because I disagree. I feel like a spanking, punishment, things like that. I'm not screwed up as a child. I don't feel like I was overly traumatized by getting the butt whooping. I think I rightfully deserved to get that butt whooping when my mama gave it to me, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But society is different. Now it's just different. So you may have to sit your child down and have those conversations. Start there. Start there before you get to the butt whooping. But I do advocate for butt whoopings. I'm just gonna be
Okay.
honest with you.
How do you stay hopeful in struggling times?
I I was actually recording an episode yesterday and about this, about one of the things was being hopeful. Um I remind myself it's not gonna be like this forever. Um we as humans are always evolving. Um, we have to look at ourselves when we were in our, youth, our teens, our 20s, and we're not the same individual. There's always hope that things are going to get better. Things never remain the same forever. So you have to just know that if you want it enough, it's your taking. You understand what I'm saying? And it just won't remain the same. It won't. You put in the work, and it's gonna do what it's supposed to do. So that's how, for me, I try to remind myself that and being hopeful, honestly.
So, what's your vision for a mentally healthier future?
My vision for a mentally health future. To be honest with you, same thing as I kind of mentioned before, being vocal, um, having conversations with your family, um, owning up to whatever you did wrong. Um, being, I guess it's just in the same context of being honest with yourself. It's like when you're able to knock all these things off the list, yes, and I'm saying, then you find your trajectory to be in a positive way. But you got to work on all the garbage. You got to work on all the things that's a problem first before you can even get there. I think people want to leap there before they even do the essential work. Um, and honestly, I would say give myself grace. In the same context with my mom, like it's something I talk to her often about. Just give yourself grace. But yeah, I would say those, there may be others, but those I feel is necessary.
So, how could you encourage listeners to find purpose and meaning? What would your encouragement be for them to have purpose and meaning?
First, they have to know what purpose means. You have to start there. Finding your purpose is thinking about all the things that you want to achieve. Where do you want to be? Um, Having purpose, I would tell people, is not giving up. Wanting to see yourself. For me, like I want to see myself in a better light. Like I want to be happy with me. Um, so for me, my purpose is just to continue to work on the parts of me that I don't like, about myself. Um, I would say that again, being vulnerable, I feel like to have purpose or to be purposeful, you need to be vulnerable. Um, and you just need to be honest with yourself. I think sometimes people they put on this facade like things are just awesome all the time, that life is good, life be not good. So you have to be honest with yourself and saying, okay, where you are you trying to land? Yeah, you know what I mean? And also not put a time on it. Yes, and I'm saying, I think we're so in a society, we're so structured around everything has to be reached by this particular point. Like, nah, it just doesn't work that way. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much where I would say to that.
Wow, that's awesome. What's next for you on your mental health journey as you want to continue to encourage people and help people heal? We know that's the part of the journey, but what's next for you on this journey?
For me personally, or just for me personally, I guess I mentioned before, I just want to be a better Abia. Like, that's my journey. Is just to be better than who I was yesterday and the day before and the year before and the 2 years before. Um, I just want to be a better human at the end of the day. So when I close my eyes and when it's time for me to meet my maker, I just say that I came in here jacked up, but I'm leaving out of here better than how I entered the world. You know what I mean? Like we should always want to be better than who we were before. Like nobody is perfect. You should always be wanting to work on yourself, to be honest with you. And I just I just want to be a better person, and not and I want to say for me, not for anybody else. Like anybody else who benefits from it, great. You benefit from it. If you're in a marriage, I'm married. Um, and I remember like even in relationships, me wanting to change for the purpose of making somebody else happy. It's just not realistic. You have to want to be a better person for yourself because rather if that person is there or not there, you you're good. You see what I'm saying? Whoever's in your circle or not in your circle is not going to have any effect on you because you already know who you are. And then you're also not going to allow for other people to change who you are. You're going to remain the same. You're going to continue to grow. You're not going to allow what is always going to be people, not always, but there may be times when with negative people come into your life. It happens. Um, and you may get into a space where you let them in and you tolerate them for the moment. And after things are done, I'm more so relationship wise, you change. It's like you have to think about, okay, what can I learn from this process? Do I necessarily need to change? Was it the other person that was just screwed up? You understand what I'm saying? Um, so it's like again, just sitting down and just honestly being honest with yourself. Like I am where I am now because, and I went to therapy and I did all the work on myself and continue to do the work on myself because I want this for me at the end of the day, nobody else. If you gain from it, great. But yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
Is there a specific call to action that you would suggest?
When you say call to action, just can you give me a little bit more context
The
in
call to
that?
action, like, okay, like we broken down like some of the symptoms, and we
Mhm.
broken down like things people need to be aware of, and we talked about people seeking help. But like, is there a specific process you would suggest to people, whether they're dealing with themselves or whether it's an adult dealing with somebody else to treat
Mhm.
or deal with the mental illness? Is there a specific way? Is there a specific order?
I honestly, I would say first is acknowledging that something is going on. I would say you need to start there. And accepting the fact, acknowledging and accepting the fact. You can acknowledge that something is wrong and you can still continue to move as you continue to move and nothing
Mm-hmm.
changes. So
Mm-hmm.
it's acknowledging and accepting something is not operating well here. I would say the next step after that will be address it,
Okay.
talk about it, seek your counseling, do talk to your pastor, whatever you need to do. I would say in that process, I tell people this often, take note, especially when even through the part of now there is a problem or take a notes. What are the problems? What are the things that's going on in your brain that you need that's not working out well? Like I said, acknowledging the problems, and then after that, you are now seeking to try to get help.
Okay.
And jotting that conversation down as well too. Because I remember in therapy, at first I was very apprehensive about therapy because my therapist was a black male. And I thought he don't understand jack diddly squat of what I'm going through.
Mm.
He's not a woman. I say I should have been Pacific. That's besides the point. I mean, like I asked for a black, you could ask for the race that you comfortable with. So I asked for a black therapist. They gave me a black male therapist. I should have said black women therapist, but it worked out really well because I got a male's perspective, and men think quite differently than females. His was very like, okay, Abia, what do you think about this? Let's address this. Okay, what do you think about that? It was like very different. It wasn't. It's he took the emotions out of it, because we women are very emotional. Um, but in that, when I initially started with him, I was not taking any notes. And my therapy lasted for about a year. But I want to say about 2 months in, 3 months in, I started taking notes so that when we are not having a session, I'm able to go back to that and I'm able to reference that because sometimes I will forget about conversations that we had or things that I may have said or things that he wants me to work on. And like I said, it's constant. It's a constant work. I would say after that, just start applying the steps, whatever steps that you are benefiting you and that you're seeing change, and trying things out, and not being willing to be uncomfortable. Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean, in that process, because mental health is uncomfortable. It's not hunky dory. Even like when I do the podcast and I talk about some of the things, and I'm like, I'm scared to talk about this. Like, this is really opening up a can of worms. And to some people, it may seem like, eh, it's not, it's whatever. But to me, this is my life. This is things that I've been through, that I'm now telling people what I've been through. So now I got to process how, whatever I'm saying, making sure I'm not I'm not saying giving too much information, but saying it in a certain way, and then what is going to come back to me or what people may say. Like, wow, you know what I mean? But like I said, with that, just it's going to be very uncomfortable. Ooh, hello, yeah. Sorry, so it switched to the different thing. Yeah, so it's going to be very uncomfortable. But that I would say that would be my call to action steps. And I would just say at the end, just remember that it's always continuous work. You're always working on mental health. Mental health is not, it's not going to end. To be honest with you, even when things are good, it's not going to end. I realize that. Yeah.
So what insight or encouragement would you give us all today?
Um. There's probably be the same thing as I mentioned before. Talk about your problems. Talk. Don't bottle it up. It's going to eat you alive. Be honest with you. It's going to then show up in places that you do not think that's going to show up. You're going to be, and I'm gonna be honest with you. This is when I knew something. I'm gonna tell you my experience and when I knew something was wrong. One day, my car stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
I've been stressed, piling on, right? And then I'm sitting in the car, and the car wouldn't start. And I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm so angry. So I'm like, oh God, what are you doing to me? Like, can you give me a break? I'm tired. You see, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm trying to live my life. I'm trying to do all these things. So after talking to God, I'm still frustrated. I literally bang the wheel. Like if I could have took that steering wheel off that car, I would have. I was so angry. So I would say, talk about it. Talk about the things that are bothering you. Talk about the stresses. Um, take take time for yourself. Self care. Like people throw it around like it's whatever, but it really does help me just sitting down and breathing or sitting on the couch and watching a show or wherever the case, yeah, I would say that one. Um, Maybe even I would say talk to your family. What has helped me a lot is talking to my mom. I'm starting to learn a lot of things that was going on with her, and it's helping me heal because now I can better understand where she was. I'm fortunate to have a mom who is willing to open up, and I know other mothers are not. But if you do have a parent, or parents who don't mind talking about their stuff, talk to them. Let them know what you're going through. Here, ask them questions. I asked my mom a lot of questions. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? What was going on at that time? You know what I mean? Though that was a very big healing process for me. Is being able to do that and have those conversations with her. And I could say that I'm better off. And one of the things my mom said to me when we were talking one time, and she says, I said, do you regret one, not regret having me, but having me at the time that you had me? Because I feel like she still had a lot. She was still young. She was 19. You know, um, she grew up with her father not being there, her mother being the sole breadwinner, female dominated home. It wasn't the right time for her to have me, but she did. So I said, if you could go back, would you maybe have me later on? And she says yes. She said that she will want to. And I asked her, like, for some of the decisions that she made with her life that impacted me, does she regret those decisions, like leaving me with my grandmother? Does she regret that? And me seeing her living in a room by herself because she was going through her depression, and then me not understanding of what was going on. Like everybody act like everything was okay, but I knew it wasn't. So have those conversations with your parents, if they are here and willing to have those conversations, because that will help you heal. Be honest with you.
Wow.
Because like I said, a lot of my mental illness is youth related stuff. A lot of my anxieties and things like that, and things that goes on in my head and things that I saw comes from that. But at the same time, it's things that I've done to myself too. I'm not saying everything is on her. I've made a lot of poor decisions in my life as well too. Um, but yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, thank you so much for opening up.
yeah.
Um, and I do want to commend you just for you having a genuine passion to help people mentally
Mm-hmm.
because it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I can appreciate the fact that you are somebody who is relatable and
Mm-hmm.
who understands, um, and just truly your heart for what you are doing. It
Yeah.
is very much needed, and I don't think we have these discussions enough, but I'm thankful that we are having the discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Thankful for you being a person to open up because things are hard to like you said, so you're a very awesome person for choosing to put yourself in the front to help
Mm-hmm.
people. That says a
Yeah.
whole lot about who you are, and that says a lot about your character as a
Thank
person, and
you.
for you're welcome, and also for what you do. So
tell people how they can check out your platform and what you're doing, and so they can be able to follow you and check out what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. But first, I always just thank you so much for having me on your platform. Like, I want to begin there before I even get into my stuff and everything. Thank you, just allowing me to come here and talk about me. But I do have a podcast. Again, it's called Reflection by Abijah. It's on Spotify. It streams to iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and it's one more. I can't remember the fourth one. All of it is in my bio. I'm on Facebook. I now have a Facebook page. So my information is on there as well too. I normally post information about when a podcast is going to come out. I do a podcast for every week. So every Tuesday at 9 a.m., a new episode comes out, unless something is going on with life is lifing. And I just can't get an episode out, but I'll, definitely let everyone know across Facebook. I have an Instagram page as well too. Same, pretty much same information that I post on Facebook is on Instagram as well. And yeah, I mean, that's where I'm starting from. I do want to expand my platform, but again, I know that does take time and everything. But I just ask people to come over and just understand, like, when you hear my conversations, I'm like you mentioned, I am very just natural. I don't want to come on and be like doing the most. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's just not who I am. I want people to feel comfortable and feel like they're talking to their girlfriend or they're talking to their sister or, just regular conversation. We don't need to be doing the most. And I ask people to ask questions, and just be willing to connect, when they come over to me. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for
Mhm.
joining us today. This is first, but it won't be our last.
Of
Um,
course.
but I do thank you so much. I will be in contact. I hope you
Mhm.
enjoy the rest of your week and be
Yeah.
blessed. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Have a blessed day.